In this week's episode, I'm joined by Small Business Director at EDF in the UK, John Perks. With over 25 years in the energy industry, John Perks has become a trusted guide for businesses navigating the complex world of energy. Having worked across shifting markets and evolving policies, John brings deep industry insight and a passion for empowering small businesses to grow and make smart, sustainable energy decisions. Whether it's decoding contracts or demystifying decarbonising your business, John's mission at EDF is simple: help businesses grow by saving cash and carbon. John, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Do you want to kick us off by telling us a little bit more about what you do and your role at EDF?
Yeah, great to be here today. So I'm John Perks, and I'm EDF's Small Business Director. What that means is I look after our teams at EDF who support our about 360,000 small business customers. We provide them with energy, electricity and gas. And I've been doing this role for about 2 years now, but I've worked for EDF for over 22 years.
Wow.
So I'm a long-standing member of the team. And I've done a variety of roles during those 22 years. Previously, I ran our mid-market team, where we look after larger businesses, mid-sized businesses. I did that for about 5 years. And then before I joined EDF, I worked in the energy industry for about 4 years for a meter operator, helping them install meters for domestic and business customers. So I've got a lot of energy industry experience.
Yes, I was going to say, it sounds like a lot of energy industry experience. And can you tell us a little bit more then about the small businesses that you typically work with and what are some of the challenges that they're facing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough few years with COVID and the impact of lockdown. And then following that, the surge in energy prices, energy costs, and the knock-on impact that had. Whilst businesses were initially supported through some government support schemes, that support kind of fell away over time, and now those businesses have been exposed to much higher costs than they would typically have been used to. We are starting to see a bit of improvement in the energy costs, and that's bringing some relief to businesses, but. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster couple of years, and yeah, we work with all sorts of businesses. We've got hospitality, retail, lots of different companies that we work with.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious because you've got a really long industry experience. You've worked with businesses of all different sizes. Do you find that the way that businesses are experiencing these challenges then, are they impacting small businesses differently from larger businesses?
I think generally small businesses have historically maybe viewed energy costs as something they can kind of forget about largely, where it's been a relatively predictable line on their budgets, and almost like switch off about it. They'll re-engage when they think that their contract is up for renewal. But otherwise, they'll kind of put it to one side. I think what these last couple of years, with the volatility we've seen with energy costs, it's really forced everyone to get more engaged. Yeah. And I think the challenges that we see with small businesses is they're very time poor. They've got to run their business, and many times that involves doing multiple different jobs within the. It's not like an EDF where you have multiple people within the organisation that can all specialise in things. Yes. Small business owners, they have to do everything. And it's that access to information and advice to know what to do. When's the right time to lock in your next fixed term contract? What sort of contract should you go into? How long should you contract for? All of this, historically, businesses wouldn't have faced too much risk around not actively managing this. Right. But now you could find that all of a sudden you're paying 2 times, 3 times the amount for your energy than maybe your competitor down the street. Right. And that can create more of a challenge for the business ultimately sort of succeeding in the future. Yeah. So sure. I think that that lack of kind of access to information and advice has probably been the thing that's been most evident and specific to our small business customers. Larger businesses, they generally have teams that can look after this for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I imagine if you've got a larger business and you want to have a conversation with someone about their energy, then you've got somebody whose job it is maybe in procurement or something like that who could actually have a conversation with you. Whereas when you've got a small business, they wear just so many different hats.
Yeah, and it's something we've really tried to invest in since I came into role a couple of years ago. Really tried to invest in education. Like what more can we do? We've got a lot of experience in the energy industry. We build and operate power stations in the UK. We're building a new nuclear power station in Hinkley Point at the moment. And we've got a lot of experience. How do we bring that experience and knowledge and help our customers? We're the second biggest energy supplier to small business customers in the UK. Something we're very proud of. We'd ideally like to be first, but we're working on that. And how do we take that position and give back and support? And it's through the partnership we're doing with Enterprise Nation, where we're investing a lot in advice at those moments when small businesses need it. When they're facing a decision around how can I lower my costs. Maybe they're reaching the end of their contract and want to know what do I do next. That's the role we see that we want to play there. We've also got quite a lot of advice that we make available for free on our website as well.
Do you find that maybe one of the almost first hurdles is that people feel a little powerless with their energy bill? They almost see it as like business rates or something that you just kind of have to pay, but they don't even put it in that category of thinking about things that they can actually impact.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that at times. I mean, as a residential customer, I face the dilemma. I mean, obviously I'm supplied by EDF, just for my colleagues in that department. But I face the same challenge. You face it in your domestic life now, and that indecision. Like you want confidence in your purchase decision, because typically you'll be if you lock into a fixed term contract, that could be 3 years.
Yeah.
And if you need to exit early, if you realise later on down the line it's not the right contract, there could be termination fees associated with it. So it can be quite a big commitment. And it's that advice and guidance on what are the key considerations. That's the thing that we are trying to help with.
Yeah.
And just give more confidence. Information, education helps with confidence, and then you can then make a decision, feel comfortable that you did it, with all the information. And that's the role we want to play.
So on that note then, about information, education, helping people feel more comfortable understanding what's going on, can you tell us what some of the key factors are that are impacting energy prices at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a roller coaster, as I mentioned, over the last few years. We saw with COVID, almost overnight, many businesses switched off their power supply, shut their businesses down, and that collapse in demand drove a huge collapse in the price of wholesale energy. It hit record lows. Coming out the other side of that, as the economy kind of reopened, what we found was a surge in demand, in particular from Asia, that drove prices up again. And 2021, I'd say the winter of 2021 was the first time when we started to see quite extreme levels of pricing. But that was linked to this kind of economic recovery. But at the same time, starting to see some geopolitical tensions with the situation with Russia and Ukraine. And then as that conflict escalated, and as part of the sanctions on Russia, the gas pipelines were switched off. All of a sudden, Europe was facing a situation where they just don't have enough gas. They don't have the storage supplies. They don't have access to gas, and there are alternative routes to get gas into Europe and into the UK, versus sending it through pipelines. You can use LNG, liquefied natural gas, as an alternative, but it takes time to build the infrastructure,
Right.
and there you're competing with Asia for those cargo ships. And we saw, I mean, I was running the team at the time in the mid-market side of the business, and we saw prices escalating 10 times the prices we'd seen previously for customers, and it was probably the biggest moment in my career trying to navigate our customers through that period. And that was, it was all linked to just a shortage of gas. And what we've seen since then, I mean, obviously the conflict goes on in Ukraine, but global capacity LNG has improved. We've actually had a couple of milder winters as well, where Europe in general has had to consume less gas. That's helpful for keeping storage supplies healthy. The US has come in and played quite a key part in supporting the global supply of gas as well. So as a result of all of that, this last year or so, we've seen prices coming back down again. Now, some businesses who locked into these high price deals at the time of the market peak, that they've had to deal with that as the government support dropped away. They've had to deal with that for a few years now. But our customers, we're starting to see the last of our customers who had locked into those deals come off those tariffs and access some pretty big savings now by locking into new fixed price deals.
Because, of course, at the time, nobody knew where it was going to stop, right?
I know. I mean, honestly, it felt at one point, it felt like it was jumping up a couple of percent points every hour.
Wow.
The market was moving that quickly. So it was scary times. And yet again, like, what's the right decision? If you can afford that price, then you probably commit to it, because it could have got a lot worse.
Yes.
It's starting to come down again. The challenge we've got at the moment, it's live, it's in the news right now, and this really speaks to how what happens in the world impacts energy costs in the UK.
Yeah.
We've got the escalation of the conflict between Iran and Israel, and the threat that we might see restrictions on supplies of oil and gas through a particular key kind of shipping lane, and that the market is very aware of that, very nervous about that impact that could have, and that'll feed through not just to energy but to obviously the price of oil as well, and what we'll pay for fuel. And although the UK has done great work in investing in low carbon technology, offshore wind farms, solar, and with EDF, nuclear power stations. Although we have a grid mix that is not just completely reliant on gas. Yeah. At moments where it's not windy and where it's not sunny, we still need gas. We still need gas to keep the lights on. We've managed to phase out coal successfully from our electricity generation mix, but we still have that dependency on gas to manage the peaks. Right. And what's really exciting right now is we're seeing this shift that residential customers and also businesses are starting to take around realizing that just investing in low carbon technology probably isn't enough. Actually thinking about how and when I use energy is really important. If I can reduce my energy at times when lots of people are consuming, I can actually save quite a lot of money. Right. Equally, if I know I've got to use energy at some point during the day, for example, to charge my electric vehicle, what if I do that overnight when electricity is much cheaper? So we're seeing this shift in customer behaviour starting to come through, all linked to kind of innovative tariffs that suppliers are offering, and really supporting not just the reduction in carbon, which is really important, but actually saving customers money. Saving customers money,
and also, I guess what you were talking about, the way that global events really impacts energy prices in the UK. I guess, would it ever get to the point where the UK is almost self-sufficient with energy? You said we're becoming we've got a bigger mix of things like renewable energy and obviously nuclear, but do you think it's ever a reality that you could get to the point where the UK is not impacted by global events, or is it just always going to be an element of that?
I think the vision is to get as close to that as possible. Yeah. And storage plays quite a key part here. We have such ample access to wind, in particular because we're an island. We've got the British Isles. We have lots of wind. It's been particularly windy in Brighton this week while I've been down there with work. But it's how do you capture that and store it for when you need it. And battery technology is something that's really coming along, and I think it's a big enabler for us to be able to manage the peak demand and those periods where your renewable capacity isn't online. A big part as well is building more nuclear power stations. We're building Hinkley Point C. And also, looking to build another power station in Sizewell as well. That's low carbon generation. That's base load. That's on all the time, and that's a really important element of our grid mix, especially as we start to decommission some of the older power stations that we've got in the fleet, just to have that steady base load, keeping the lights on.
Yeah, literally keeping the lights on.
Yeah.
We always say that figuratively. Big thanks to EDF Small Business Team for sponsoring this podcast. Powering the High Street, a bold new initiative from Enterprise Nation and EDF, has been designed to breathe life into the UK's high streets by supporting the next generation of retail entrepreneurs. Whether you're a seasoned shopkeeper or a digital business ready to make the leap to bricks and mortar, Powering the High Street is your gateway to making a meaningful retail impact. Explore the resources and get involved by visiting the hub now. Find more details at enterprisenation.com/powering the high street. Well, I was going to say that when you mentioned that about when it's not sunny or not windy, I never really thought about that. But you think, well, okay, can you not store it? But it's all about then having the battery technology to store the renewable.
Yeah, and
storage rather.
But the technology's advancing all the time. It's really exciting, and we at EDF are working with customers that have electric vehicles, and we're almost using their car as a battery. So you've got this situation where customers will give EDF kind of responsibility to look after their car for them and their car charging. Yeah. And we will charge it overnight, typically when energy costs are cheaper. Not a lot of people have the lights on overnight. But then, if it's not required in the evenings, when you get that kind of between 4 and 7, in particular in the winter, is a real peak period of time in that evening, we would then discharge the car and use some of that car battery to help balance the grid.
Oh wow!
Otherwise, we face situations where I was thinking about our access to wind, and one of the other challenges that creates is there are times where we have too much wind. We almost have the opposite problem, and then you're actually encouraging customers to use energy. And again, the car battery plays quite a key part there. It could be that we'd actually pay customers to use energy rather than them have to pay for it, because it helps National Grid balance the network.
Right.
So it's this innovation and this journey to net zero from a carbon perspective that's it's all going to be enabled by technology, and it's really, really exciting to be a part of it. Yeah,
no, it's fascinating. So how much of it is about the technology, and as you say, changing people's habits to get them to think about times using electricity or using power at times when it's not in high demand from everyone else. Not 4 to 7.
4 to 7 in the winter is generally the worst time to use energy, but because that's when everyone needs to use energy. One of the things, though, that I think is really important is having access to data and information to understand when you are actually using energy. And that's where the rollout of smart metering is really important, and really embracing the data that meter holds for you. The smart meters will provide customers with visibility of how much energy they use in each half hour throughout the day. So 48 data points in a day. And that's accessible for small business customers as well. And I think a really big step towards taking control of how much you're spending on energy is actually just understanding when you're using it.
Right.
And at EDF, we've got some online resources, Energy Hub, where businesses can access that, and residential customers can access it too. If they've got a smart meter and they've opted in to have access to their half-hourly data, they can see when they're using energy. And with some of these new tariffs that are coming online, where you can pay different prices at different parts of the day, understanding, well, how much could you then save? And also, if you want to make investments in an electric vehicle, in solar panels on your roof, helping kind of build a business case for making that investment is, data is the big enabler. Yeah,
if you can't see what's happening, it's hard to change.
Yeah. So we've we really promote smart meters to our customers, and from our perspective, it all starts with smart. It's the first step that any business can take on the path to saving energy costs, is get a smart meter.
So let's bring it back to small businesses then, and retail in particular. So if we're talking about people who are running physical shops, then what are some of the impacts that you're seeing the rising energy costs having on their day-to-day operations?
I think it's becoming something they're going to have to more actively manage. One of the things we suggest in some of our advice pages is just education of the employees that work there as well.
Yeah.
I think in education, engagement with your team, making them aware that actually at the end of the shift, when the shop door closes, that switching off the lights, switching off the plugs, just taking those steps to prevent kind of wasted energy usage is really important. So control what you can and really focus on avoiding waste. And that's what we're seeing, the engaged businesses start to do. Be very aware and really feel like the whole company has to take some ownership of this. Because the cheapest pound of energy that you use is the one you don't use. So.
Very true. Love that.
Really, really snappy, that one, wasn't it?
I could totally see that. So, for example, you said it starts with smart. Also very snappy. Love that. So
I'm bringing them all today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a smart meter, then I guess that's also something you can share with your team, right? If they can actually physically see the cost or the energy usage dropping when they turn everything off. Yeah. It's a good check that they've actually turned it all off, right?
And set targets. Set targets, set benchmarks, and say this is what we would use in a typical day. Can we use less? Yeah. And think about that. Ultimately goes straight to the bottom line. If you're reducing your costs, straight to the bottom line. I think one of the challenges that businesses face is around kind of embracing some of that net zero technology, though. We find that a lot of our customers maybe don't have access to the roof to put solar on the roof, right? Or maybe don't have access to kind of off-road parking to have charge points to electrify their fleet of vehicles. So, but where that's possible, again, those are actions that can be taken. The payback on some of these investments, it can take a couple of years, but it gets you on that journey towards lowering your costs. That's something else we're seeing businesses that can do start to explore.
And I suppose, as you say, if you can track really clearly what you would be saving, it helps you start put together that very numerical case of saying, right, this is, if I want to cover the bottom line, then this is how much we're spending, and if we put these in, then this is our payback time, rather than sort of theoretical, well, wouldn't it be nice? Yeah,
the financial case has to stack up for businesses. They can't, for many businesses, it's whilst maybe part of the motivation might be to sort of save the planet, reduce carbon emissions. We know that the financial case has to really stack up as well, and that's where, again, access to data, looking at where the savings could be made. Is important. I think the tariff that you're on as well, energy. What we see with energy tariffs is that businesses will pay. There's two components for every energy contract. Typically, there's your standing charge, the amount that you pay every day, irrespective of what you use, and then the unit rate on the consumption that you do use. And sometimes those unit rates vary depending on. Talking about some of the innovative tariffs that are being launched. Sometimes those unit rates can fluctuate quite significantly throughout the day. But those are the kind of two components. Now, there's not a lot you can really do about your standing charge.
Right.
That's typically energy companies will build in a standing charge to cover fixed costs associated with managing the network, providing providing all of the kind of bare essentials to make the energy market function. But the unit rate that is paid is then the thing that is linked to how much you're actually consuming. So, looking at savings on the unit rate and really sort of engaging with that when you're making a contract decision, that's the bit that you can really influence if you can reduce consumption.
And so what kind of advice do you give if somebody comes to you and they say, right, this is how much we're paying right now, these are our tariffs. How do you suggest they kind of go about deciding what's the best tariff for them? I
think I always look at it as it's a decision around risk, and are you happy to sign up for, let's say, a three-year term, and know that you've got that certainty, and you can put that, if that works from a sort of cost perspective for your budget, you can put that into your budgets for the next 3 years and forget about it. If that's what's really important for you and that number works for you, that's the right decision to take. If though you're looking at it and thinking, well, actually, like this number's too high. I don't want to commit to it. I need some flexibility. Then that's where short-term options are. Most of our customers, we generally see that they want that long-term certainty. I think domestic customers at the moment, we still see lots of customers on the standard variable tariff, the one that fluctuates every quarter, just because there's not that much of a saving between a standard variable tariff and fixed deals at the moment in the residential market. But the standard variable tariffs in the business markets, I think they are definitely set quite a lot higher. There's a lot of risk of supplying customers at the end of their fixed term period. So suppliers factor that into those costs. Fixed deals are always the way to go. It's just making that decision about how long do you want to sign for.
Right, I see. And I suppose we've talked a little bit about energy efficiency already. We've talked about using a smart meter, getting the information. We've talked about getting your team on board, setting them targets. We've talked about things that you can do where you can, like electrifying the fleet, or putting in solar panels. But is there anything else that you would suggest when it comes to energy efficiency for small businesses?
Check out the Advice Hub on the Enterprise Nation webpage. I don't have that in front of me right now, but there's lots of really good resources there, and also on EDF's Advice Hub page as well. I think that's the thing, is there's always another step that we can be taking.
And sometimes, presumably, it's about looking at the equipment that's actually using the energy, right? And deciding, is it actually going to save me more money in the long run if I have a more energy efficient fridge, for example, if you've got a refrigerated area
You've teed me up perfectly. I think it's like number 3 on the Advice Hub is invest in energy efficient lighting.
Yeah, right.
So you're spoiling all of the, there's no reason to check out the website. Again, perfect suggestions, looking at more energy efficient technology in the property. We've got this, we're seeing more electric heating as well, moving away from gas heating to electric heating, heat pumps. EDF has a heat pumps business, working with residential and small business customers to electrify their heating. And we've got new kind of government initiatives, government mandates to put more electric heat pumps in properties. A lot of the new build properties you'll see now will have electric heat pumps rather than gas supplies. So again, those are the sort of technology decisions that can be made.
We've touched then on the hub. So you want to tell us a little bit more about what people can find out and where they can get more information then about being more energy efficient?
Check out the website. Got lots of information there, and we'll keep writing blogs about different things that are happening, whether it's decisions you can take around electrifying vehicles, whether it's what to do at the end of your fixed term contract, whether to use a broker or to go direct. That's another interesting area, and we'll keep providing content, more resources to help. The Enterprise Nation partnership, super exciting, and stay tuned for more partnership announcements from the team. But equally, we've got a lot of resources on our EDF small business website as well that you can check out.
Fantastic. So final question, what do you think the future of energy is, and what opportunities does this present for small businesses?
Yeah, we kind of teased this a little bit earlier when we were talking about the changing nature of the grid and how we generate electricity. The idea is to reduce our dependency on gas to generate electricity over time, and also gas for heating. And to enable that, what we've seen, in particular with wind generation, solar generation coming online, generally it's coming online under different government support mechanisms, and what that's doing to the way the market functions now is it's kind of guaranteeing a price for the generator, irrespective of what the wholesale price is doing, and that reduces the way that the long-term certainty of pricing,
right?
Which is quite interesting. It means that you get probably a little bit more volatility in the market as a result of that. So what I'd say is that the way this is all evolving is that the time of day, the time of year that you're using energy is becoming really, really important. As the grid tries to balance, how you take control of what you use and when you use it is going to become even more important. So I think that's the way this is changing. And I think, I said earlier, the advice is, businesses want long-term certainty, long-term predictability of costs.
Yeah.
Well, you've got what's fighting against that is the way the network's going to operate and how that's going to balance. The network is almost saying, no, we won't be able to give you a guaranteed cheap price for the long term. You can get a cheap price, but it might be at between 3 and 4 on a Sunday morning.
Right.
And that's the challenge that businesses face. It's really hard as a shop owner if all of a sudden they realise that the energy costs are really high between 4 and 5 to shut early. You've got customers in your store. That's going to be the challenge. And how can we help enable more of that flexibility of usage for businesses with battery technology? That I think is going to be a key enabler to support businesses manage the changing landscape of energy.
And what do you think about, people talk a lot about artificial intelligence and the amount of energy that's using. Do you think that that's something that's also going to play into the future of what's happening in the UK, just like the amount of energy that people are using, or do you think people are going to get wise to that when they realise the impact it's having? Or
I think what we're talking about there is increased electrification. And if you think about electric vehicles, that's going to greatly reduce carbon emissions in the UK, but increase electricity consumption.
Yeah.
So if you look at some of the National Grid's forecast scenarios of what's going to happen, you've got the declining energy use linked to energy efficiency, like improvements that businesses are making or customers are making. But against that, you've got more and more sources of energy becoming electrified. And your point around AI and data centers, that's also kind of adding to that increased electricity use. So longer term, not only do we have to reduce our dependency on gas for what our demand looks like today for electricity, that demand's going to increase as we phase out other sources of energy consumption. So overall electricity consumption should increase, and therefore we need more wind farms, we need more solar arrays, we need more nuclear power stations.
Thank you so much, John. This has been absolutely fascinating. I really enjoyed hearing your perspective, and I'm sure for lots of people listening as well, it's made them hopefully think about their energy bills in a different way and how they can have more control over them. So thank you so much for joining us, and check out the EDF's Enterprise Nation Hub. Yep.
No, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You've been watching the Small Business Retail Sessions podcast, brought to you by Enterprise Nation's Powering the High Street Hub, in collaboration with EDF Small Business. To learn more about the work EDF are doing to energise small businesses and how they can help you on your journey, head to enterprisenation.com/poweringthehighstreet. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.